Your body is not just flesh and bone, it is a living, breathing, self-repairing intelligence that is constantly fighting to keep you alive, and most people have no idea how to work with it. Every second of every day, trillions of cells inside you are communicating, cleaning, and rebuilding, running a biological operation so precise that no pharmaceutical company has ever come close to replicating it. Within this biological masterpiece, there is one system that most doctors never talk about, never test, and almost never treat, yet it is the silent controller of your immunity, your hormones, your energy, and the speed at which you age. That system is the lymphatic system, your body's internal waste management infrastructure, and when it breaks down, everything breaks down with it. For decades, we have been trained to look at our bodies through the lens of symptoms and prescriptions, treating the smoke while completely ignoring the fire burning underneath. But today we are going to strip back the layers of conventional thinking and look at a substance that modern biochemistry is only now beginning to fully decode, one that has been sitting in kitchens and medicine cabinets for centuries, hiding in plain sight. We are talking about castor oil, not as a laxative, not as a folk remedy, but as a high-precision molecular tool for cellular longevity, lymphatic drainage, and systemic detoxification. Before you dismiss that claim, understand that the science behind this oil is rooted in receptor biology, transdermal pharmacology, and lymphatic physiology, fields at the cutting edge of human health optimization. To truly understand why castor oil is causing a quiet revolution in the biohacking community, you have to move past the surface and look at its molecular anatomy. Nearly 90% of castor oil is composed of a rare fatty acid called ricinoleic acid, and what makes it extraordinary is a single strategically placed hydroxyl group on the 12th carbon of its 18-carbon chain. That one tiny chemical detail changes absolutely everything about how this oil behaves inside your body. It gives ricinoleic acid a lower molecular weight and a specific polarity that allows it to penetrate the human dermis far more effectively than almost any other lipid known to science. Most topical oils simply sit on the outermost layer of the skin, providing a temporary barrier and nothing more. They never actually enter the body. Ricinoleic acid is different. It acts as a transdermal carrier, moving through the layers of skin to interact directly with the interstitial fluid underneath. That fluid is the sea in which every one of your cells swims, and when ricinoleic acid enters that environment, it begins a fascinating chemical dialogue with your biology. Specifically, it targets the EP3 and EP4 prostanoid receptors, the molecular gatekeepers of the body's inflammatory response. By modulating these pathways, castor oil does something that most pharmaceutical anti-inflammatories completely fail to accomplish. It encourages the body to resolve inflammation rather than simply suppress it. Suppression creates stagnant, chronic inflammation, a smoldering fire that never fully goes out, while resolution allows tissue to return to its natural homeostatic state. That distinction between suppression and resolution is one of the most important concepts in modern immunology, and it is the entire reason why so many people who apply castor oil feel genuinely different, not just temporarily relieved. Now let's go deeper, because the real power of this molecule reveals itself inside the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system functions as the sewage network of the human body, collecting metabolic waste, cellular debris, dead pathogens, and excess proteins from the tissues and carrying them out of the body. But here is the critical design flaw that most people never learn. The lymphatic system has no pump. While the heart drives blood through the arteries with relentless pressure, the lymph relies entirely on muscular movement, deep breathing, and chemical signaling to keep waste moving. In our modern sedentary lifestyle, sitting at desks, staring at screens, barely moving, lymphatic stagnation has become the invisible root cause of nearly every chronic condition you can name. Brain fog, persistent fatigue, autoimmune flare-ups, hormonal chaos, unexplained weight gain, these are not random misfortunes, they are the predictable consequences of a clogged biological sewage system. This is where the application of castor oil over the cisterna chyli, the large lymphatic reservoir located deep in the abdomen just below the rib cage, becomes one of the most powerful interventions in natural medicine. Research indicates that topical application of ricinoleic acid can stimulate a significant increase in the production and circulation of T lymphocytes, the specialized white blood cells that identify, tag, and destroy pathogens in cellular waste. By activating the cisterna chyli, you are essentially pressing the flush button on your body's entire internal waste management system, creating a measurable surge in cellular filtration capacity. This is not about feeling slightly better, this is about preventing the accumulation of cellular debris that, left unchecked, becomes the raw material for systemic autoimmune disease and accelerated biological aging. But the story of castor oil does not end with the lymph, because sitting directly beneath the lymphatic reservoir is your body's master detoxification organ, the liver. In the modern world, your liver is under constant and unprecedented siege, processing microplastics, heavy metals, synthetic hormones, pharmaceutical residues, and thousands of industrial chemicals that were never intended to enter a human body. Most liver cleanses on the market are not only ineffective, they can actually make things worse by stimulating phase 1 detoxification without adequately preparing phase 2, flooding the bloodstream with highly reactive toxic intermediates. Phase 2 detoxification, the conjugation phase, is where toxins are chemically transformed into water-soluble compounds that can actually be eliminated through bile and urine. When a castor oil pack is applied over the right upper quadrant of the abdomen, the localized warmth and absorption of ricinoleic acid stimulate the gallbladder and the liver's bile ducts to increase bile flow. This creates a gentle osmotic pull that encourages the movement of stagnant bile, a thick, sludge-like accumulation that many people carry without ever knowing it. Bile is the liver's primary disposal vehicle, carrying fat-soluble toxins out of the liver and into the intestines for elimination, and when bile becomes thick and sluggish, that disposal system grinds to a halt. When bile flow is compromised, a process called enterohepatic circulation takes over, where the body reabsorbs its own toxic waste from the gut back into the bloodstream, recycling the same poisons over and over. Breaking the toxic recycling loop is the reason why people who begin using liver castor oil packs consistently report clearer skin, hormonal stabilization, weight loss after long plateaus, and a sudden lift in mental clarity. Beyond the liver, we need to talk about an organ that is reaching epidemic levels of dysfunction across the modern world, the thyroid gland. In the United States alone, tens of millions of people live with undiagnosed or poorly managed thyroid conditions, and the mainstream medical response is almost always to medicate the hormone output rather than address the root cause. The root cause, in a staggering number of cases, is localized inflammation and lymphatic congestion in the neck, a state where swollen tissues and stagnant lymph nodes essentially strangle the thyroid's ability to function. By applying high-quality cold-pressed castor oil to the base of the neck, you are facilitating a localized lymphatic drain that reduces the inflammatory pressure bearing down on the gland. This helps eliminate what is known as the bystander effect of inflammation, where the thyroid becomes collateral damage in a wider war between the immune system and a congested, toxic environment. Ricinoleic acid has also been shown to improve localized blood flow, which is essential for delivering iodine, the raw material the thyroid requires to synthesize T3 and T4 hormones. Without adequate circulation and lymphatic drainage, even the most precisely formulated iodine supplement will fail to reach its target. The delivery infrastructure simply isn't working. One of the most profound and consistently misunderstood applications of this oil is what is known as the Pachotti method, the direct application of oil into the navel. To a skeptic, this sounds like antiquated folk medicine, but to a biologist, it is a sophisticated entry point into the enteric and autonomic nervous systems. The navel is a remnant of our very first connection to life, and it remains a convergence point for thousands of nerve endings, blood vessels, and fascia lines that connect to the organs beneath. Most critically, it serves as a surface-level gateway to the vagus nerve, the longest nerve in the autonomic nervous system, running from the brainstem all the way down through the heart, lungs, and digestive organs. The vagus nerve governs the parasympathetic state: rest, digestion, tissue repair, deep sleep, and in our chronically overstimulated, stress-saturated lives, most people never fully access it. Applying castor oil to the navel creates a sensory signal that travels directly into this nerve network, triggering the parasympathetic response and downregulating the cortisol-driven stress state that keeps so many people wired, inflamed, and exhausted. This is why users consistently report a sudden, almost immediate onset of deep restorative sleep and a measurable drop in anxiety within minutes of nightly application. It is a direct chemical bypass into the body's off switch for chronic stress. Now let's address a dimension of health that most content in this space avoids entirely: the impact of lymphatic stagnation on reproductive and pelvic health. For women struggling with PCOS, endometriosis, painful cycles, or unexplained infertility, the root cause is often congestive pelvic syndrome, a state where blood and lymph flow in the pelvic cavity becomes dangerously sluggish. That stagnation leads to the accumulation of excess estrogen, because a congested liver cannot clear spent hormones efficiently, and they recirculate through the system, feeding the very conditions they are supposed to be cleared from. A castor oil pelvic pack stimulates the smooth muscle of lymphatic vessels in the pelvic floor, aiding in the clearance of excess hormones and reducing the inflammatory prostaglandins that generate cramping and cycle-related pain. For men, the same protocol supports prostate health by reducing localized inflammation and improving the microcirculation required for healthy testosterone metabolism and hormonal signaling. Before you begin any of these protocols, there is a critical warning that cannot be overstated, because what makes castor oil powerful is also what makes quality non-negotiable. Ricinoleic acid is an extraordinarily efficient transdermal carrier, which means it will carry whatever it touches, including contaminants, directly through your skin and into your deep tissues and bloodstream. If your oil was processed with hexane, a neurotoxic industrial solvent used in mass production to increase extraction yield, you are not detoxifying, you are delivering neurotoxins directly into your nervous system. Hexane exposure has been linked to peripheral neuropathy, cognitive impairment, and central nervous system depression, the exact opposite of every benefit you are trying to achieve. Furthermore, if your oil is stored in a plastic bottle, ricinoleic acid will actively leach phthalates and bisphenol compounds from the plastic directly into the oil, and then carry those endocrine-disrupting chemicals straight into your hormonal system. Your oil must be certified organic, hexane-free, expeller-pressed, and stored in an amber glass bottle. The amber glass protects the delicate fatty acid structure from photooxidation that degrades biological activity. In the world of biological optimization, the quality of the input determines the quality of the output. There is no shortcut around this, and no cheaper substitute that delivers the same result. Beyond detoxification and hormonal balance, castor oil also plays a remarkable role in tissue remodeling and scar repair, an application that most people have never considered. Fibrosis, the buildup of rigid scar tissue, is the body's emergency response to injury, but it frequently becomes permanent, restricting blood flow, nerve conduction, and tissue flexibility long after the original injury has healed. The high concentration of ricinoleic acid has a documented ability to break down cross-linked collagen fibers, which is why it is so effective for fading old scars, softening surgical adhesions, and improving the texture and elasticity of damaged tissue. This same mechanism extends to the scalp, where centuries of traditional use are now backed by immeasurable scientific explanation. Ricinoleic acid stimulates prostaglandin D2 and E2 in the hair bulb, extending the anagen or active growth phase of the hair cycle. As we look at the full picture of what this oil can do: lymphatic drainage, liver detoxification, thyroid support, nervous system regulation, hormonal balance, tissue repair, the question shifts from "does this work?" to "why haven't I been doing this already?" The answer is that we have been trained to look outside our bodies for solutions, reaching for prescriptions and supplements rather than learning how to remove what is blocking the body's own healing intelligence. Castor oil is not a cure, it is a facilitator, removing the roadblocks that prevent the body from doing what it was already designed to do. The most powerful invitation here is not to take someone else's word for it, but to run your own experiment, choose one protocol, commit to 21 days, and pay close attention to what shifts. Your body is a laboratory, you are the lead scientist, and the data you collect from your own lived experience is more valuable than any study you will ever read. As the lymph begins to move and the liver begins to clear its backlog of accumulated waste, you may experience temporary fatigue, mild skin breakouts, or a brief intensification of symptoms. This is not failure, this is movement. Support the process with deep hydration, mineral-rich sea salts, and daily deep breathing to assist the lymphatic system's final clearance, because the difference between a superficial fix and deep cellular healing is what you do to support the exit. The most powerful technology for human health optimization was never invented in a laboratory, it was already built into you, waiting for you to stop suppressing it and start supporting it.